welcome to Pirate TV's podcast. My name is Farnsworth Hendrickson, and joining me today is Veronica Gail. How are you doing, Miss Veronica Gail?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You can just answer them the best of your ability, okay? What are some steps that you took to get where you are today?
So a lot of steps I took to get where I am today is in college, I really tried to get the most experience as possible. So obviously being a part of Pirate TV, I was a producer for 7 semesters. I loved every second of it. I also joined WSU. I was news director there. I was videographer of my sorority, D-Phi-E, and also just taking a lot of internships, trying to get the most resume builders as possible. So when I do apply to jobs, I have something to show.
Nice. Was it a lot for you?
Yeah, at times definitely. It's definitely trying to balance everything. And also still, you're in college, you want to have a little bit of fun, right? But for the most part, I tried to manage it as best I could.
What is the hiring process like for your role?
The hiring process, so for the role I currently have, it was an easier hiring process than most because there's only one round of interviews. I applied on Indeed, shockingly, and I got a random phone call. I always answer random phone calls because I find them very exciting. So I answer the phone, and it's my boss being like, hey, just got your resume. Figured I'd just give you a call to tell you about the company. I was like, great. I just got sucked into an impromptu interview. This is exactly what I wanted to do. Just kidding. So I heard about the company. I was like, this seems really cool. And then they actually scheduled me for a real interview where I sat down with a couple people and I talked and I learned about the company. They learned about me. And yeah, that was basically the hiring process.
Was there like any nervousness with getting the call from them? Are you?
Oh, I was terrified getting that first call. I was watching TV like with my housemates, like we're just sitting in the living room as college kids do. And I like ran to my room. I was like, no one can be here. Like it needs to be quiet. I need to sound like that I can somehow professional on this Saturday morning. So.
What does a usual day in the life look like for you?
Yeah. So basically, specifically career-wise, typical day in the life. I get in. Most of my clients are on the West Coast, so I usually have a bunch of emails when I first walk in. So just answering those, scheduling regroups for, hey, we're working on this big project. Let's meet up at 1 p.m. and just discuss what we're doing. Looking for resources, so I'm in charge of finding all freelancers, so going through reels, saying, oh, this person has what we need, this person doesn't, getting all their availabilities, maybe scheduling chats with them with the creative team, almost like an interview so they can get to know each other. And just handling any day-to-day things that come up. That could be, here's this 4-minute video you edited. Find all the stock, find where it came from, and tell us the price. Or, hey, look at this Marvel logo, what movies are used in this. It can be anything. So it kind of varies, but that's kind of a general gist. And I usually have meetings with the client where I take notes. So that's something in there.
How many editors would like Vance from? How many, like, would it be like hundreds, thousands of freelance editors you're looking for?
I usually don't look at that many. We have a database that we've collected through like multiple years, way before my time. So this probably goes back to 2015. So I have a solid list of people that I look at, and I have all their skills written out. So I can easily find who I'm looking for. Usually for like one position, it's gonna sound aggressive, but I usually look at 30 people. Why? Half of them are gonna be unavailable. Another half, they're just not gonna like. They're gonna be like, we're not really loving that person. So if I start with, say I reach out to 40 people, 20 of them automatically are no because they're unavailable. Another 10, they definitely are just like, not our vibe. So then there's only actually 10 left to actually choose from. And when you get into rates, project budget, et cetera, you kind of need 10 people. So that's about how many I look for.
Now currently, and back when you were a college student, what was your scheduling look like? Well, we can start with the college. What was your college schedule looking like?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. It varied obviously each semester, but senior year spring, we'll go with that because that was the most recent. I interned 3 days a week. All my classes were in 2 days. So Monday, Thursday, Friday, I would wake up. I started interning. I interned 10 to 6. So I'd wake up, intern all day, take a half-hour lunch, finish interning, do whatever I wanted at night. Those days where I wasn't, my schedule kind of varied. I would either probably have class, a shift at WSOU, another class, Pirate TV at night, maybe something from my sorority after that, and then I'd finally go home. So it was a little crazy. It was a lot of fun. I remember there was a day where I was at an interview with a UN ambassador, then I went to class, and then I covered a basketball game. And I remembered thinking, I will probably never have a day where I do all 3 of these things in one day ever again. And that's the beauty of college. You do random things on random days for no reason.
And now, what is your schedule currently?
So my schedule currently is I work 9:30 to 6:30. So usually hit the gym before work, go to work. I am the worst about taking lunch. I never take lunch. You should take lunch. Don't do what I do. But usually I just work all day, finding resources, answering emails, etc. Our company, how we work is you leave when you're done with your work. That sounds great in theory. You're like, I could just leave at 5. Not really. The earliest I ever leave is 6. The latest I've left the office before at like 10 p.m. I try not to do that though. And then I go home, eat dinner, try to hang out with friends, try to do something fun. If not, I'm at least watching Ted Lasso or Vanderpump Rules. Yeah, it's kind of like the day in the life.
What is the most awarding part of your job?
Seeing the final product, definitely. Like going to the theater and watching it, it's so cool. Especially a lot of the projects we've worked on up until this point, I haven't actually gotten to see the movies beforehand. I just saw like, for example, Wakanda Forever. I saw about 30 minutes of that movie and that was it. So like actually seeing it all, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense in context of the movie. Was really fun. But just seeing everything on the big screen is great. And seeing what people have to say, especially in Marvel movies. The fans are always tweeting on Twitter, and I love seeing what they have to say, which is fun.
This is a little side question, but what is your favorite Marvel movie?
That's a good question. Endgame's amazing, but I'm trying not to pick Endgame because it's basic, but just know Endgame's into my heart. I love all the Spider-Mans. I love Black Widow. She's my favorite. Her movie's really cool. Florence Pugh, star. And also that beginning title sequence, which we may or may not have made. We totally made it. I'm just obsessed with. I think it's like so cool. Even though that's like a really dark movie to pick, I might go with that. And the Guardians 2 with Dancing Groot, so cute. I love the Guardians.
Everyone loves Groot, but my favorite is also Civil War.
Oh, great movie. Love Civil War. Yeah, good choice.
Everything clashing together and everything. So but what is the hardest part of your job?
Hardest part of my job? I am not a techie VFX person. So I don't know codecs. I don't know other things that have to do with like C4D and Nuke and all this stuff. So trying to get my way around the technical issues without being really good at it is probably the hardest part of my job. Google helps me out.
What is the coolest experience?
I got to hear Rihanna's Lift Me Up 2 weeks early, and that was sick. And I had to keep to myself. I was like, guys, I heard a new Rihanna song. I'm so weak. She hasn't released music in 5 years, and no one cared at work. Everyone's like, oh, it's Rihanna. Like, okay. I'm like, she hasn't released music in 5 years. This is the coolest thing ever. And then for that movie, Wakanda Forever, they also sent us Shuri's costume that she wears, that white costume. So I got to see that up close and personal, and that costume design won an Oscar. So I got to see an Oscar award-winning costume, and it was really cool.
Glad you had a great time. What is a piece of advice that you would think you would give to the undergrad, or they should know?
My biggest piece of advice is the answer is always no until you ask. Just ask. Send the email. If you're like, oh, I want to reach out to this person, but like, what if they don't respond to me? Like, oh my God, that'd be so embarrassing. Just reach out. The worst that happens is they don't respond and you're in the same boat you're in now. Nothing changes, so always ask.
And what is your advice on networking as well?
Networking. Add everyone you know on LinkedIn. Any person you talk to, for example, add me on LinkedIn. If you came to that little talk yesterday for Pirate TV, I would add me on LinkedIn. I would, and try to keep in contact with people, try to find organic ways to talk to people, which is so hard. It's so much easier than it sounds. But just trying to keep in contact with people and also network with your fellow students because you never know where they're going to be in 5 years.
This is the last question I have for you today. How has Pirate Television prepared you to get where you are today?
Pirate TV definitely helped me. I'm not really in a production like role where I'm holding a camera or I'm editing. I do some editing, but I don't do a lot. I'm not like floor managing. But what helped is in the producing sense, learning how to balance multiple personalities. Everyone is different. Everyone, especially at Pirate TV, is at a different skill level. Everyone has different personalities and stuff. So just trying to figure out where everyone's best fit and making sure like things work for this person in a different way that they work for this person. So trying to accommodate both those types in one.
What was your favorite position?
Oh, what was I love directing. Directing's so cool. TD was always fun, but floor managing was fun too. I love doing the signals. I now do them in Zooms when we have another call to get to. I do take 2 minutes. I'll be like, wrap it up. That was always fun. Moving the tree in Studio One, it's a huge job.
Nice. I appreciate you having this conversation with me today on today's podcast.
Of course, anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.